This Japanese fishing boat was found abandoned in the Philippines with its engines still running and fresh fish in the nets, but there was no crew on board. What happened to them? On this short, we've seen boats abandoned at sea, but this one takes the cake. On June 2019, a battered fishing boat washed ashore in the coastal town of General Santos City in the Philippines. It was a large Japanese vessel, named the Shonan Maru. No, two. The boat was completely empty except for the fish still in the nets. But that wasn't even the strangest thing. When the tide went out, something very interesting was revealed. Both engines were still running. They had been left on with the keys in the ignition. This would suggest that the crew had abandoned ship in a hurry. But why? To try and find out what happened, we need to look at some surveillance footage taken from a nearby store. It shows the crew of the ship rushing to the deck. They can be seen staring intently into the sea. They don't seem to be scared or worried. They just seem surprised by something they see in the water. One of the crew members then runs to the front of the boat. He appears to shout something into a megaphone, but we can't hear what he says. He then turns and runs back to the others, making a strange jerking motion with his hands like he's trying to get their attention. But they seem intent on looking out into the ocean. Moments later, all 4 crew members are seen scrambling over the railing and into the sea. They disappear below the surface and don't resurface. It looks like they jumped into the water willingly. But why did they see something in the water that made them jump? Another strange thing is that none of them are wearing life jackets. Life jackets are mandatory for all crew members on a fishing boat, but these men did and seemed to care about their safety, or they wouldn't have jumped into the water without them. That's not all. If you look closely at the last frame of the video, you can see something strange. Underneath the surface of the water, there appears to be a large glowing shape. It's difficult to make out what it is, but it seems to be some kind of large marine animal. Was this some kind of shark or some other large sea creature that the crew saw? Perhaps they were trying to warn each other about it. Maybe they thought it was a giant squid or a megalodon. These huge extinct creatures are said to live in the deep waters off the coast of the Philippines. Whatever it was, it seems to have spooked them enough to jump into the water. But if it was an animal, why didn't it attack the crew? If you watch the video closely, you can see that the crew don't panic or struggle in the water. They seem to accept their fate and calmly submerge themselves. Maybe whatever this creature was, it was so big and scary that it intimidated them. Or maybe it was sentient and communicated with them telepathically, telling them to jump in the water. It's hard to say what exactly happened here. Some people have speculated that the crew may have been pirates and that they jumped into the water to hide from the authorities. But this is unlikely, as there is no sign of piracy. Their boat was found abandoned on the shore, and there was no damage to it. Plus, the engines were left running, which wouldn't make any sense if they were trying to hide it. Others have suggested that the men may have been swept overboard by a rogue wave. But this also doesn't make much sense, as there is no sign of rough seas, and the boat was found intact on the shore. It would have been much easier for them to simply stay in the boat. The most likely explanation is that they simply panicked when they saw something in the water. Whatever it was, it spooked them enough to jump into the sea, where they drowned. What do you think happened to the crew of the Shonan Maru 2? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.